Hey everybody, this is Games Plus James and welcome back to our 2D platformer tutorial here in Unity, where we are making the basic essentials that you will need to make your own platformer game. Now, today we're going to take a look at how to actually make your levels. So previously, with the couple of levels that we've made in the game already, the way we've gone about it is just by taking one of these blocks and just duplicating it and moving it around the level, laying out our spikes and all that stuff. Which is fine, but it's not really the best way to do things. It's very time consuming, have to duplicate a block, move it in position, duplicate another one, move it in position. That's not really the best way to do this kind of stuff. And also you end up with, each one of these blocks has its own like collision detection. So you can see the little green line around that box. You can, if you click on the next one, the little green line around that. And that can cause problems where the player might get caught up at the point where the two blocks meet. So you don't really want that happening either. So the best way to do it is to use a completely separate program to draw your tile maps and like draw little maps of what your level is going to contain, and then convert that into Unity, and you have an easy way to design your levels. And quite luckily, there's two really good programs that are completely free and that I've used in the past to make levels, and that are really handy. So the two programs that we're going to use are Tiled, which is a program for drawing levels in your game. So you could just, it's really handy. So you could just like, you literally just, you pick this tile for example, and you just draw along there with your mouse or whatever, and just go draw all that stuff in, and then that saves that as a map file. And then the other program is one called Tiled to Unity. Very straightforwardly named, and all that does is just take those files from Tiled and puts them into Unity for you, and you don't have to do any more thought about it apart from that. So where do you get them? If I open this up here, so Tiled is the first one. As you can see, you can be used for all different kinds of games, but we're using it for our 2D platformer. But it's mapeditor.org, or if you just search on Google for Tiled, it'll be like the first result, I think. So you can just download that from there and install it. And Tiled to Unity is by this guy called Sean Barton. It's seanba.com/tiled2unity, the number 2, because he's that cool. That is a super handy tool that converts the tile files into Unity. So what you do is go ahead, download those and install them on your computer, and then once they start up, they should look something like this. So this is Tiled. Obviously there's nothing going on here because we haven't started a file. And this is Tiled to Unity. And the important thing to remember with Tiled to Unity is that it has a special package that it puts into your Unity project. So anytime you want to use these Tiled and Tiled to Unity within your project that you're working on, if you're making a new project and you want to use it again, or if you're doing it for the first time, what you have to do is go to Help here and then Import Unity Package to Project. And what that'll do is you have Unity open and it'll create this little dialog here that tries to bring all the stuff into Unity. So you just press import on that. And once that's finished processing, now we've got an extra little folder here that is Tiled to Unity, and that just contains all the scripts and all the necessary features that are part of it to make Tiled to Unity work for you. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and actually make a new map, and we'll have some fun. So we'll go to Tiled here and go File, New. And what you want to do is make sure it's orthogonal, because that just means it's like a bunch of square maps. You don't want isometric or hexagonal, don't want any of that. XML, left up, it doesn't. They're all just kind of whatever your preferences are. Then you have your map size. Obviously you'd want to adjust this for whatever size levels you want, but it's fine for now, just that's a fine width. And 16 pixels tile size. This is what we want to set because back in Unity, we in our art file here, if you remember, we set 16 pixels per unit, and that's the width of each one of those blocks, and it's the width of the player as well. So your whole world is based on that 16 pixels. So you want to make sure that you stick to that consistently. So you want to make sure your tile size is 16 pixels. So if we hit OK here, now we've got a big blank screen of nothingness, and we've no tiles to draw on our level with. So we need to do something about that. So if you go over here to tile sets, or I think if you go to map up here, either way, if you click on new tile set up there or new tile set here, we'll call this just basic tile set. And what we want to do is go find the image that we've been using for our platformer. That's a different folder. Here we go. Assets, in our art. And there. See, there's the file that we've been using with our player character and all, and it has our ground image and our little spikes as well. So we'll open that up, and tile width and tile height should both be 16, and we don't need any spacing or margin. So we just hit OK. Oh look, and then we have this little thing here. And then super easy and super simple to use. Tile, you literally just go, you click on whatever tile you want to do, and it automatically breaks them up into 16 by 16 as we just said a second ago. So if we click on the ground one here, we can just go boop, draw a line. We can draw whatever kind of crazy shapes we want. Probably not anything that crazy, but it's literally that simple to then design your maps. So we're just going to lay all that out, and that's the basic way to design all those maps, and that'd be fine. But literally all that does at the moment is just draw a line of images, but we want to do a little bit more than that. So what we're going to do is sort out a few custom features that we want to use in conjunction with Tile to Unity here, that we want to use in our game. So within Tile to Unity, you see these things here. These are things that you can make as properties within Tiled that will affect how the map will look in your Unity project. So you can see here sorting layer name, so you can give a name to the sorting layer that we've covered before, sorting order, just the layer, the tag, scale, all this fun stuff. So there's a couple of things that we want to set up initially that we want to make sure work okay. So what we're going to do is go to map up here and then map properties. And what that does is open the map properties down here. If we scroll all the way to the bottom to custom properties, and we hit this little plus thing here, what we want to do is set it so that the map will go to the right size within Unity. Because as it is, if we drag it into Unity when it's finished, it'll actually turn out as a big, huge, gigantic, massive map which won't be very helpful for us at all. So what we're going to do is say Unity, if I can spell it properly, Unity scale. And what we're going to do is hit OK there. So what we're doing is we're affecting the scale within Unity of this map file, and the value of it is going to be 0.0625. And how did I arrive at that 0.0625? Well, basically all that is taking one world unit and dividing it by the 16 pixels that we've used for everything. So if you set up a project and you're using like 32 pixels as your definition, you would take 1 divided by 32, whatever that is, I don't know, 3125 or something. But that's what you would need to do to set it up. So we've got a 0.0625, and then we've got multiple layers that we can draw within our world on. So we want to have like a ground layer here. If I can rename this, can I rename this? There we go. Double click on it. I don't want to call it rename. I want to call it ground. And what we want to do on this ground layer is this is going to have some custom properties that we've set up in Unity already. So back here, for the player to know that he's on the ground, he's always checking for the ground layer below his feet, and that's why we set up these objects to have a ground tag and a ground layer. So what we want to do is make sure that that same thing happens within Unity. So in our Tile to Unity here, we've got this handy little guide thing that shows what things we can do. So we can see here we've got a Unity layer and we've got a Unity tag. So that means we can set those properties within Tiled, and they'll be able to be automatically sorted out within Unity for us. So you have to make sure and click on ground here, then we hit the plus thing again, and we go Unity layer, and we'll type in ground there, and then we'll do the same again, Unity tag this time, and again we're going to hit ground. So now anything that we set on this ground layer will be automatically be a ground object, and that's exactly what we want to happen with that. So we can just go ahead and just draw like a line there. Say we want to have a little bit of a thing for the player to jump on, then we don't want that. If you press E, it'll switch to a mouse or to an eraser that can rub things out. And if you click on this, you go back to being able to print things. So we'll, I don't know, put some little gaps in that the player can jump over, and then he'll walk up here and we'll put the exit there. But we won't actually put the exit in using this tool because we've custom things set up in Unity that we want to be able to keep using. But what we're going to do here now, so we've got all these ground objects, but again, if we were to import this into Unity, all this is doing is literally just drawn little images, and that's no use to us. We want that to be able to, we want the player to be able to collide with the ground, and the way to do that within Tile as well, it's just very simple by setting the collision properties of whatever tile you want to have collision. So if we go up here, View, Tile Collision Editor, and if you hold Control